Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Tuesday. And I'm gonna unmute these fellows over here. Hello, gentlemen. Welcome to SquadChat After Hours. I'll be your host, Crispy, the community manager here at OWI. But I'm joined with my fellow friends and colleagues. I haven't seen most of you for a little while, and some of you are quite new and not been on a squad chat. So, wait, hold up. Oh, I thought I had music playing. No worries. It's just the train going by. So we'll go around from the top. I've got Jet, systems designer. How do you do, sir? We've got Fabian, senior programmer. Just the peace sign. There he goes. We've got Daniel, game designer in the corner there. How are you doing, sir?
Hey guys.
Thank you for joining us. And we've got Fuzzhead, project lead, down there at the bottom there, supporting us. And we don't have a camera, but we've got Cole on the line, junior programmer.
Yo.
There we are, from the field. But hands up who's not been on the squad chat before. One,
My
two,
hand is raised.
three. And Cole has got... So, Jet, we'll start with you. Just give us a little bit about what you do here at OWI, when you joined and etc.
Yeah, I started as a modder for Squad and joined off-world as a systems designer. So I've just been making a bunch of systems to support art and programming and further things along.
Very nice. And Fabian, give us a bit of a rundown on what you've been doing at OWI?
Yeah, I was a senior programmer on Squad, and I used to be working on Ghost Recon back in the day, and I had the opportunity to join Offworld, and I jumped on it last year, and here I am.
Very nice. Daniel, game designer.
Hey, yes, I'm Daniel. Otherwise known as Crush Depth. I started as QA here about a year and a half ago, I think. Been doing game design now for a year, for 6 months. Sorry, I get my I'm a game designer, which means I'm not good at math. That's cool stuff. So, yeah. Lately, I've been working on the helicopter flight model.
Oh,
2.0.
very nice. Very eagerly anticipated would be the words.
Yeah.
And we'll head over to Cole. A little rundown on yourself, sir.
Hi, I'm Cole. I'm a junior programmer. Been at OWI for coming up on a year now. I've kind of been fixing a lot of bugs. That's pretty much like one of my main things. I also worked on a bit on the VoIP a while back, which was pretty fun. So, yeah.
Very cool, very cool. As this is an after hours, gentlemen, I hope you came prepared. Oh, Fuzz looks like he's came prepared. But I've had some requests to get some fridge action in here, so I'm just going to head over in here and do my thing. None of the people in the Discord call can see it, but there we go. Fridge represent. There we are. It can be a proper after hours now.
What is it this time? Mayonnaise?
Something a bit tastier than mayonnaise.
Okay.
Something a little bit more local than that. Oh man, that just. To be fair, quick story before we get into the depths of things. The fridge wasn't on when I came in. There have been some sauces of some kind left there. I will not be trying any this evening, so we're not getting there.
Oh, no.
Too late. You
But
let that cat out of the
yeah,
bag.
but the smell that was coming from it was not so great. But now that we've got that out of the way, we know why everybody's, well, not everybody, but a lot of you are here this evening, and it's to get some information on that dubious version 2.0 that we've been working on. So guys, where is it?
I left it in the garage.
Hopefully you gift wrapped it. No, so the plan was we'd come back from break, we'd work through all of those community issues that we found and all the other tasks that were set beforehand. As of now, we can say we won't be releasing V2 in January, which is a shame, but it is going to be early February. So, yes, I know there's going to be a lot of 3 weeks coming out in the chat. Definitely not 6 months, Tenki. But we're very sorry about that. But the thing with this is, like, it's better to get it done right on the first release rather than releasing something, having to catch up, because we're going to find issues anyway when things get released, when you get into a live environment like that. So we're very sorry that we're going to have to delay it. We'll be updating the roadmaps and etc. and putting it on paper in a blog post of some kind. But I didn't want to just roll out with another article of saying, hey, it's not going to be coming here, this is why. So this is why we're here right now, to discuss probably some of the challenges or the issues that have come up since then, and be taking questions from the chat. Fuzz, it looked like you had something to say there.
Yeah, no, I just it is unfortunate. We are all been a long road with V2. It, in a way, it has been like another internal engine upgrade with all the systems that we've had to renovate. Fabian, he was being one of the key drivers there. He started this, when was it, back in last spring, right, Fabian, I think?
Initial plans were laid down in January, I think.
Yeah, so it's been a long process. And basically, what Fabian was tasked with was, we need performance, we need optimization. How can we get there? And this was laid out as a way to get there. Turns out we were able to get enough performance out of the network to get 100 players for our 1.0 release in September. And that meant we didn't have to ship with layer overhaul in our 1.0 release. But we knew this was something very key to getting a better workflow and better performance. Also, breaking down our pack files so that way, hopefully, in the future, we can release more rapidly without as tedious installation times from the patches. That's still something that has to be tested and truly verified, but that is the path forward with layer overall. Not to mention the breaking out of the map layer from the map layer data from the map layer itself means, the data is going to be a lot easier to manipulate for us, but as well as modders. So it's something that we really needed to do, and unfortunately, it came with a lot of unforeseen problems, issues, etc. And we eventually we've crushed most of them, I would say, at this point in time. The last, Cole, yesterday or the day before, and today actually,
the kit's bugs, because there's
with the kit not being accessible on the spawn menu. Only can grab from the. If any of you have played the UAT, you've probably experienced some of those bugs that were just kind of really pestering at us, and we're trying to clear the way for it. So, anyways, disappointing for us, because we know we really want to get something out there because we're super excited about it, but also at the same time, we know 1.1 is in a fairly stable state, and we don't want to create more instability by putting something out this that we know has a lot of issues. So that's where that decision come from. Also, the UAT has been super valuable, and we're hoping to get more people on there when we release an update for it, hopefully later this week, with all these fixes and everything else. I will say it's boring, but basically we had some massive infrastructure problems as well in the course of started in late November, I think, and worked its way into December, and even in the new year here, we had major issues. First with some hardware issues, and then with the build pipeline. So that kind of stuff really just grinds the wheels to a halt. The technical aspect of it is basically we put out builds, daily, multiple builds, multiple streams, and we normally these builds are anywhere from 2 to 5 hours to complete, and then QA can get in on this build. Unfortunately, some of these builds were starting to take double the time, 10 to 12 hours of a build time, so that really slows things down. But anyways, we've solved most of that now, and hopefully we've got a way better pipeline now because of it. So kind of had to go through a lot of struggle, but I'm hoping we'll be able to really pick up the speed on release cadence following 2.0.
Yeah, it's one of
Another
those.
thing I'll mention. Go ahead.
No,
Christy,
go.
sorry.
You finish your thought there.
The one thing about 1.0, I know I've seen a lot of questions. I've answered it when I can. Why did we not fix some of the bugs in 1.0 or 1.1, etc.? One of the reasons is the way we released 1.0, and with that settings overhaul, if you guys remember, it did put us in a precarious state where we initially put out the settings overhaul in 1.0, but then we had to revert it because there was still too many problems with the settings overhaul. We didn't see that until we had a lot more systems. So we had to revert that successfully, but we weren't able to run patches on the 1.0 or 1.1 was an exception because we had some security issues that occurred. I don't know if you guys remember end of September, like shortly after release, we had to patch those security issues. But it basically put us in a state where we couldn't release. We would have released several micro and minor patches by now, but because of the state of this release in the pipeline, we weren't able to do that. So moving forward with 2.0, we're hoping that we can get a much better cadence of releases, and looking forward to that.
Yeah, sort of. You were saying it's been like a sort of internal engine upgrade, and that was a big task in itself. So the hope is, once we're over this big obstacle, that we'll be able to sort of shotgun some releases out there that have got some content in there and aren't as reliant on these huge systems.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So we got a bunch of people asking where Ross is at. I don't know, so we should DM him, see if he's going to jump on.
Crispy, which one needs to go up? Because I've been tweaking the guys up, but
everyone start talking all at once.
Yeah, that would be great. Crispy and Cole turn their microphones up, so I'll turn mine up there. I'm in the yellow now.
Jet.
Hello.
Say something.
Apparently it's me who's a bit quiet. Let's go round again. Hello.
Hello.
Hey. Hello.
Hey.
Fabian's just not.
What are we talking about?
I'm trying to get Fabian to say something.
Oh, okay. I was thinking it was
there we
Big
go.
Jet. So I would just summarize like these last 6 to 7 months, like kind of the team final destination episode, where we had like everything that could broke down one after the other. We hadn't any kind of week of relief, like with anything like from servers to internet connection. Even the street internet connection broke at some point. Like we had absolutely everything that we could think that happened. And on top of that, we were working on that long, big task because the problem we had on V1, we had to also postpone some release of some of V2 features, which ended up packing all these features into that giant update and made it even more complex to release. So I think it's gonna be like we named that update V2 and it deserves its name. Like it definitely is a V2 now. Like it's gonna be a different game in several aspects, and I think you're all gonna like it. And most of it is I'm gonna finally see fuzz not working till midnight on vehicle spawner, which I think gonna be my personal victory on that 2021.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure if any. Hey, speak up if there's any modders in chat. We'd love to hear from you guys. But in terms of maintaining gameplay layers, we have well over 200 layers now in Squad, and the maintenance of them and creating new ones was becoming quite an issue. So the fact that from a designer's perspective, it's going to be much easier to organize, change, restructure. A quick example of that, won't go too far into detail, but like, for example, let's say we introduced several new vehicles in 2.0. If any of you guys have tried the UAT, you've seen the crazy beast new Warrior, the FE520. It's got the 40 millimeter cannon, fully stabilized. Its weakness is it doesn't have much ammo, but it's very beastly, right? And then you've got the LPPV It's like a lighter
Battle bus.
recon vehicle. The battle bus for the British, and then they got their new Puma helicopter. Quite cool. But let's say, for example, putting all these on layers, you had to go into load each individual map and put them on there. Big, tedious, long effort. Now, when we have these generic sub-factions, we can just throw them on this sub-faction, and they're automatically going to be on the layer. We haven't fully switched over that workflow. We still have some single-use. We have single-use factions, but even with that single-use factions, it's just a matter of opening a data asset, changing a thing, and then saving it. The data asset opens, in a second or less, whereas
You don't even
opening
have to
the
load
map.
the level.
Yeah, I don't have to load the level, so it makes a huge difference in the workflow, like quality of life from the designer's perspective. So all that's boring for standard players, but hopefully what it means is in the long run, you guys will get updates faster, and we'll be able to be more creative and spend our time and energy on gameplay balancing, tweaks, making cool new layers, and fixing bugs and stuff like that, rather than doing a lot of manual labor in a way.
And also more combinations, I think, of faction layers, which is a big thing. So basically, you're getting more layers essentially.
Yep, definitely. One thing to note, I know it's going to be a little bit of disappointment for everybody, and I don't know if Fabian knows about this too. So Fabian might be hearing this for the first time.
Uh-oh.
For 2.0, we had to make a hard decision. We're not going to ship with map voting or sub-faction voting. We're hoping to get that out as soon as we possibly can, but that was one of the things that was giving us a lot of trouble. There's a lot of bug reports about it, stuff like that. So that's going to be one of the things that we don't have with 2.0 initially, but hopefully one of the patches soon after we'll be able to address the issues. Fix up the UI a little bit, because I know there were some UI issues with the voting, and get it out there.
That's the next thing I'm working on.
Yeah. So what Cole's talking about is we'll have a lot more. Skirmish was the first layer, so it's mainly only affecting Skirmish right now, because Skirmish was the layers that we were going to have lots of combinations, because they're relatively small amounts of balance tweaks there, because the vehicles are more or less the same. But that's going to be something very powerful in the future.
The good news is that we discovered that our smaller patches were around 150 megabytes now. Also, that's a big win that we get with V2, and that will mean also that we'll have more easy hand into patching more quickly or individually bugs, instead of having to wait a month entirely to justify a 15 gigabyte patch. So that's something that's gonna completely change the way of the live ops of the game gonna be handled too.
Very cool. We've got some questions coming in. I don't know if we want to go to those just yet, or if there's some more that you guys want to touch on.
So many questions. So,
they're flying in, so I'm trying to keep up. But we've got first one from Torba says, I'll get past that, but would love to have Daniel explain some of the changes he's doing to the flight model and what he wants to do more in the future on it.
Oh yeah, sure. Well, it's a real bucket of bolts. It's a very deep rabbit hole, that one. This is not an overhaul that we're doing. It's more of an incremental improvement, because if we try to completely rip it out and redo everything, you would need a lot more time if you were starting from zero than we actually have available, and there's much more important things to work on. And what I mean by that is there's a relatively small number of people who actually fly helicopters in the game. Most people actually don't even squad lead. Most people are not playing the game that way. So we have to balance our resources to benefit the greatest number of people with the appropriate amount of work. So what we're doing is we're tweaking what we have so that it feels better, so that it plays better, and so that we can remove some of those pain points that are causing frustration. Notably the seesaw effect that makes it very difficult to perform a landing. we're increasing the speed of the helicopters a bit, but not in a way that allows you to zip across the map immediately, but more in a way that you build up speed and you feel like you're not, rather that you're not having an invisible force holding you back when you should be able to go faster. We're helping you maintain more speed through turns, for example, so you can keep that momentum going, keep that state of flow going, not just in terms of flight, but as a player psychologically, so you can enjoy that feeling of flight. Was there any specific questions about it?
No, I think he was just asking. I deleted the question, so I didn't repeat it. But
Goodbye question.
Yeah, nothing real specific. Just more what your intentions were in the change.
Yeah, Daniel's just trying to say, I think, taper your expectations, but
not an overhaul.
Keep bringing in your feedback though, because we do appreciate it. In the long term, I am still hoping on a full overhaul. Whether we have the resources for that, I'm not sure yet. But I think all of I know, well, pretty much all of us in the call, right? Like we all kind of lament it. Like we do want a really, really robust helicopter in the future.
There was a question about the gimbal locking on helicopters, and I'm pretty sure I remember asking about that when I joined the company as well. I was like, is that what's that about exactly?
Yeah, I would put that in another category. It's not. We'll see. It's something I want to look into. I'm not sure if I can pull it out of the flight model without breaking things terribly.
Yeah.
But I'm going to take a crack at it. It won't be in this update, but I'll take a crack at it for a subsequent one.
Alrighty. Move on. This is quite I'll just call you Bedmass because you've got like 4 B's at the beginning. Bedmass. There we go. Bug fixes for the sound spawn glitch. Fixes for unbalanced layers when. I imagine that's stuff that V2 will help with, but not necessarily be fixed within. Blank faces.
Anyone want to take that one?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
So bug fixes for the sound spawn glitch and fixes for unbalanced layers when.
The sound spawn glitch? I'm trying to think of which one he's talking about there.
It's like the helicopters one, because I've noticed there's one with helicopters.
Like when you spawn late, and all the vehicles explode. Is that the one that we're...
Oh, I was thinking about the one where there's this sparking sound from helicopters.
Let me ask.
Yeah, he's opened a can of worms there. There's a few that might.
Chat, you got to be more specific. You can't just be like, "Hey, balance the layers." Just tell us what layer you're talking about, and we can tell you. Yeah.
What we can say.
Fix the bugs.
What we can say is for vehicle spawner, they have been entirely upgraded and changed. And on the layer part, we added, and I think I saw that as a question, we added the way deeper logs on end of match. So until we have any kind of deep analytics, everything will be logged in files, and so we could build that information. And I think we have a squad.js. We have this kind of people working with that technology, which are really cool and providing us additional data from ours. And I think it's gonna help that process of balancing layer in the medium to long term.
I see a quick question.
Go for it.
Oh crap, I lost it. Saber X7 wrote, how's the lock-on mechanics going for the new British hat? That's the N-Law. It's actually not lock-on. It's actually, but I'm sure you knew that it's a predicted line of sight. So it's a weird mechanic, but this is what it is in real life. It's the movement of the launcher prior to launching is what gives its guiding mechanism. So basically, you track the idea is you track a target that's moving from left to right or right to left, etc. And then you wait, you're tracking it for a couple seconds, and then you fire, and it will continue moving along that trajectory. So as long as that vehicle maintains its path, it will it basically predicts where it's going to be in the future. So yes, it is working currently. There's 2 modes. You can still fire it like a dumb fire, or you can fire it guided. I think the most useful most useful method for that is it actually doesn't have drop, because it's, if you're just pointing it where you shoot is, or where you point is where it's going to shoot. So that's quite different from other hats. But the other thing, unfortunately, right now it's only tracking your horizontal movement. So if you're on a flat plane, it works great. But if you're trying to track vertical, it doesn't do that. So our vehicle, one of our guys who does a lot of vehicle design, Virus, he's not able to join us tonight, but he is currently working on the vertical tracking. It's a lot of math.
A lot of math.
So yeah, so hopefully you can get that in time for 2.0. No guarantees there, but yeah, that's where that state is currently.
I guess I'll add to that and say that you are actually getting the arc as well. So it's not just going to go straight line for the target. You're actually going to get that arc of the projectile.
Because it turns, yeah.
Yes, yeah. You can make some sweet bank shots with it.
Send in your trick shot reels.
Yeah.
I have been on the receiving end. Sorry.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Got killed by it a lot.
Do you have that footage?
We do?
I don't know. Does anyone have it? The carnage. I think it was on Al Basra. We were all in technicals.
It
was.
was.
Oh, yeah. That was
like trick shot us and like getting better and better, killing us at weird angles, driving the technicals at 100 kilometers an hour. Let me get everyone keeps asking this. When are we planning on adding attack helicopters? So yes, we want to add attack helicopters. When is it going to happen? It's not a priority right now. Attack helicopters is something that we feel, I feel personally is something that will be really cool to add, but there's a lot of things wrong with the infantry meta, the infantry gameplay that needs to be dialed in first. A lot of other vehicle stuff needs to be dialed in. Helicopter dynamics need to be dialed in, and the counters to an attack helicopter have to be created. And the counters, like the flares and stuff like that, have to be created. So it's not just stick in some attack helicopters and have at her. There's a lot of other systems that is in line first before we get into that. So I'll just say flat out, we don't have that on the plan for 2021 right now, attack helicopters. However, we do have them loosely penciled in for a 2022. So don't expect any attack. You might see some like rocket pod helicopters in the later half of the year if things go well. But yeah, we want to really focus on the core gameplay loop, and things like attack helicopters. There's definitely the on the extras side of things rather than our core focus at the moment.
Some people probably got excited when you mentioned rocket pod helicopters. I'll say that having layer overhaul gives us a lot more flexibility to experiment with asymmetric matchups and strange faction setups that have like maybe one or two rocket helicopters, but not a lot of vehicle presence.
So we should talk about like how you can have different numbers of players on each team. Was that something that we're planning to do with that, or?
We have the capability.
Yeah.
There's the question of what we do with people who get auto balanced and lose the people they were playing with in the previous round.
Yeah,
that's where that issue comes in. So it might not be worth sacrificing that. We'll see. We haven't made a decision finally about it yet, but
but everybody knows, or letting everybody know, that is something now 2.0 allows. So, for example, custom mods and like private servers. It's totally something that is very, very simple to do. You can put in the percentage of players you want per team, and it will balance that accordingly.
99v1.
Yeah, as Crush said,
you can if you want.
It's something that likely not going to see a lot of usage in public servers unless we get a really robust a game mode to support it, and also the auto balance to support it. But yeah, the possibility is there for sure.
For Alamo mode.
Yes. So there was another question there. So much spam.
So well, I've picked some questions from the chat. We've got a lot coming in, but I've got one from Desert Tiger TR. Anything planned for medium to long range firefights, decreasing rifleman effectiveness so other kits and assets have their show?
Ooh, that's a good one. So in terms of gunplay, we do have a lot of like gunplay improvements planned. A lot of changes to all that kind of stuff. Because you're talking about medium, long range engagements. I don't know how the question was worded exactly, but I assume they're talking about like scoped weapons, scoped infantry weapons, stuff like that. So we definitely have plans to address scope weapons and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, remember about that thing earlier that we were talking about, Crispy? Are we allowed to talk about that, or as like a very experimental thing that we've been working on? Jet's been working on. I know he's been eager to talk about it, or should we not mention it because it's might not come into the game? People would get the wrong idea.
I mean, we'll preface it right now that this is what, in the prototype stage. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
very
yeah.
prototypey. Basic. It's not something that is new. Something that actually was in Squad way back in the day, but we didn't know if we would be able to do it, and ultimately it ran like shit. It was taken out and never to be returned. But Jet's new to the team. He's got some new ideas, and we wanted to have another go at it. So we, like myself, Daniel, Virus, several other team members and designers, always talking about like we want to level up our gunplay. Not quite happy with how it all runs, especially when it comes to magnified scopes. They do still feel very basic in their functionality. Not conducive to teamwork, communication. Oftentimes it's just faster just to dispatch enemies than to actually call them out, which is neither good for like the kind of gameplay we want or good for authenticity or a million other things. But essentially, we wanted to make sure that scoped gameplay was a little more nuanced and everything. So various things to improve that, such as a parallax-like effect, changing perhaps the way ADS, like the timings or the procedure of the ADS. But one thing Jet's been keen on looking at is the taking another gander at the dual render scopes. So what that means is your screen zooms in with the scope, but the rest of your screen does not zoom in. It's somewhat simple, like a functionality that you'd think, hey, that shouldn't be too hard to do, but because it's effectively rendering the scene twice, it does cost a lot on the performance side. So Jet's been trying to get some prototypes in to see if we can't do it in a way that, anybody who's got a decent high-performing PC, it's not really too much of a problem. You can budget for that, but anyone who has a lower end PC struggles, right? And obviously, if this is a balancing thing, everybody has to be on the same. Like we can't be like, all right, for anybody with high-end PCs, you can use cool dual render, and everybody on low-end PCs, you just use the standard, because there is a balancing implication there, and we're aware of that. So, yeah, Jet, if you want to talk about the ins and outs of that system, that'd be cool. Give people some insight.
So we got a lot of redoing it over again, I guess, from the last time that it was looked at. We got a lot of savings out of it. So we were able to cut the performance down significantly. And it's actually really beneficial for different balancing. It adds a lot of different factors to it. So we're extending these ranges of engagement a lot further. Because right now you can just look through your scope and still see your peripheral, and you can acquire targets easily. Here you're actually getting an occluded area between your scope picture and your eyes. So you're narrowing that sight picture down, but you're able to engage further. So mountain-to-mountain engagements become a lot more opened, and it actually gives you a need to have a squad with close quarters weapons with you. So with that, I guess that's pretty well the system, but we also did take a look at the shaders themselves, so you get a bit more sensitivity of the eye relief of the scope. With the red dots as well, we actually have a buff. I guess technically you call it a buff, Tom, with the red dots, where the red dot is exactly where your bullet will hit rather than a fake parallax. You're getting a fully accurate representation of where that's going to hit, even if you're moving and bumping your gun around. So those CQB weapons will be really viable in CQB, but if you have an optic, you'll be able to extend that firefight range out significantly. And there's some other prototypes within the prototype there that I guess we'll leave out for now. But
Do you want to show them? Do you have it running?
Not right now. If you want to have a little chat between yourselves about some more of it. Been getting all sorts of requests coming in, but I should be able to get that set up. Talk amongst yourselves for a second.
Okay,
Right.
sweet. Well, let's see.
I guess, Daniel, if you want to weigh in on it, you have a lot of design.
Yeah,
side to
I'll
it as
expand on one thing Jet was talking about. There was, we want to give every gun, we want to give every optic tier, if you will. I'm talking iron sights. Actually, I would include hip fire on there. Hip fire, iron sights, aim point sights like red dots, and then zoom optic sights. Every one of those should be filling a unique niche. Right now, we feel that if you have an optic, you can engage anything at short, medium, long range. It does everything. It's the best thing you can possibly choose. You'll choose it 100% of the time if you have the option. There's no contest there. There's no strategizing in terms of, okay, which one should I take for which combat situation, that sort of thing. There is, maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but that's the issue that we're looking at there. So what we want to do with the scope changes and the gunplay overhaul is separate them all a bit. So, for example, iron sights would be more of a generalist role, which could engage at close range or long range because it can zero, whereas a red dot cannot zero, but it's very good in close quarters. And then optics would be really good at long range, but at close range you have more of a eye relief parallax effect. Like if you've ever tried to look through a scope before, if you've ever had that opportunity, or even with a pair of binoculars, you can try it yourself with a pair of binoculars. Getting your eye lined up on the sight is not as straightforward as it is in video games. In real life, it takes a moment to actually get lined up. And if you're a trained soldier, you'll probably be better at it than I would be, but it's not an entirely straightforward thing.
And we also have the depth of field changes as well, right? For the firing and bursts with machine guns will actually impair your vision. Or sorry, not firing and bursts and firing full auto will kick the gun back more and more and blur your vision in the scope versus firing slower. So you will get these different dynamic parts of your
there you go.
That's specific to scope overhaul. One way or another, the parallax thing is going to be the big. Sorry, that's specific to the picture-in-picture scopes that Jet's demoing right now. But one way or another, the parallax effect on zoom optics is going to be a major tool that we'll probably be using to balance zoom optics. For example, if you were to stand up and without the bipod and look left to right, or toggle, ADS versus not ADS, you'll see that it sort of bobs around some more, and it takes them a moment to actually get a clear sight picture. So that's how you could nerf zoom optics a little bit at close range. But of course, that opens a whole other can of worms about how accurate should hip fire be. How accurate should you see where I'm going with that? Because we don't want you to be miserable if you're trying to fight in close quarter combat with a zoom optic, right? So. Yeah,
I guess
a lot of tweaking ahead
also
of us
we should touch on marksman rifles as well there, I guess, Tom, with the kind of solidifying that role into a support role. Just kind of the intent behind that design. And we did in the prototype have, in the video, you would have just seen it, the dual magnification. That's sort of a thing where that's not, necessarily going to be for sure on there. If even the pip is for sure, but just sort of causing these support roles to be supportive and excel at supporting at range, but really have a harder time in CQC without any teammates with you with iron sights or red dots.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's that is the gist of it. Choosing your type of optic is a lot larger of a choice Right now, it's not really a choice that you only take the one that you have to take if the other one's taken, and we wanted to make it a lot more. Both kits are very valuable, and it actually is very good idea for an optic to pair up with a non-optic, because some do well at some scenarios and others do well at other scenarios. So yeah, that's the design intent behind that. Whether we go with dual render scopes depends largely on optimization. And the main thing we want to do by talking about this is we want to get feedback. We hope to run something like this in the future on UAT after 2.0 is out, and we have some time with the bug fixing, and we hope to get something out on the UAT, and we hope that you guys can join us and trial some of this stuff out, because it's exciting. And I know I see some chat saying, "Oh, you ruined the game, but try it. Just trust me. When you do try something like that, it's going. And hopefully, what we do in the UAT is we also put like one kit with the old system back. It makes a huge.
It's night and day.
It's
really
such
is.
a night and day difference. It feels like you're playing a game. How I described it is you're playing a game from 2006 versus a game from 2020. When you actually, because it's not just, it's about like the weapon reacts how you would expect it to. Like just inherently, it feels more real. And realism is not the main point of Squad, but it is a component to it. And when authenticity or realism aligns with gameplay or teamwork and the other intentions of our design, that's when we see something as like this is a real potential here. So yeah, it's exciting. But as I said, as Crispy prefaced, it's very prototypey, and we don't usually show stuff like that when it's so early days. But hopefully, you'll get to try it on the UAT at some point.
Yeah, hopefully at some point. It looks great though. Just in vast contrast to the what we have right now. Just looking at that clip itself, it's pretty blown away.
Yep.
I'll move on to the next question. Then we've got a lot of questions to get through, by the way.
Sure. Yeah. Chat. Yeah.
Legit fake ID says, any plans on allowing scoreboards to be exported as a CSV or JSON? I'm not sure.
That's a new suggestion.
Yeah,
never heard of that one.
Not sure particularly why. 'Cause usually it's just screenshots, right? But
yeah, I screenshot it, but yeah, having a little like save screenshot functionality or something like that. I mean, let me talk about that really briefly. There is an item on our. It's not on the official roadmap. It's on our internal roadmap. Actually, I think there's a Trello for it. Trello ticket. After action reports. We want to make sure like. I won't go on too much about it, but basically the scoreboard at the end of the game, not during the game, but the end of the game, is very placeholdery, and we know it. It's just it's just the time to get there. We wanted to make that screen like truly feel connected with the rest of the game. It's at this time it's very like out of place. The rest of the game is focused on teamwork, communication, everything like this, and the end of the game scoreboard is very like just plastered on your face, and that's it. We wanted to be first giving you information about what you did during that round, so you can compare, like have some context of like, oh, I did good that round. And it's not just about kills and deaths. In fact, we don't really want to highlight kills and deaths. That's the main thing. We want to highlight support actions, objective actions, and things
Teamwork,
that you and your team accomplished. Yeah, exactly. So that would be something we really want to overhaul and make the after action report truly something that you actually can engage with and enjoy at the end of the game, and it feels like it's connected to the old game. Lots of ideas thrown around like that. I won't say any of that are going to be added, but things like the whole round on the mini map quickly sped up to 10 times, 15 times, or whatever, so you can like scroll through the whole round, see how the mini map progressed. That's probably very, very hard to do, but that's the idea, is like you encompass the round in a very short after action report that you can digest, in a timely manner in a minute or less, and have something to talk about with your team or your squad, and really get a sense of if you did good or bad. And I think the current one is very lacking in that right now. So that's just my spiel on the end of the scoreboard.
I know I've seen for another type of game, not anything like ours, but it's 5v5, and it's external, so it's not made by the developers themselves, but it is a way for you to analyze a match from that sort of mini-map perspective and where people were at what time. So something like that could be cool, but yeah, it's not what we see really in the future, but a possible.
Yeah, we definitely know there's a weakness there, and we want to try and make sure that's
5v5 is very different from
improved.
100 players. I think that's probably a lot more to take in. I've got some. Well, we had a question from Oro Chess S, but we also had one very similar from Nerf Darts. I'll go with Nerf Darts as it sort of takes in Oro Chess's one as well. Are there any features from Project Reality that haven't been implemented into Squad that you guys would like to implement in the future, i.e. breacher kits or ropes?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Daniel with the eyebrows.
Breachers are definitely on the list of things we want to do. In fact, maybe we could dive into that a little bit, because breacher goes some ways like it's a kit utility, but in other ways that's a whole other rabbit hole. I guess nobody's fuck it, we're gonna talk about it anyways. Locomotion, player locomotion, and changes that have happened over the course of Squad have changed the way players behave. So specifically talking about a breacher, currently, in my mind, in a lot of maps, the breacher is every kit, because they can just double jump over the walls. Walls are just a suggestion. You can rapidly pounce over a compound very, very fast. So we do want to change that dynamic. So adding a breacher would also mean restricting players to ability to just quickly jump into a compound instantly. We would want the breacher would be a supplemental thing. We do kind of want to add we kind of loosely talk about it in the tutorial. It's not really fully supported, but like a buddy jump system where somebody crouches next to a wall, and you're able to get on top of him and then get inside the compound. That kind of thing, like making it a lot more supported and not so glitchy, would be a great thing. So it's a teamwork effort to infiltrate compounds, etc. And the breacher kit would just be a further extension of that. Probably with rather than a grapple hook, it would be like a combat ladder that he can deploy, telescoping one. So he can get up over a wall and then pick up his ladder like an ammo bag and use it somewhere else. But yeah, effectively, you definitely want to see some player locomotion changes to facilitate that kind of kit to be actually useful in the future.
How about trucks filled with explosives?
Yeah, well, I mean, I know what's his name. Somebody's bugging me every day about Gary and bringing Gary back. Gary the bomb truck. Yes, we definitely want a Gary to return in the future. It's just a matter of time before it returns. Probably waiting on some return to insurgency game mode and really focus on getting that asymmetric game mode dialed in. So yeah, that's definitely something in the future for sure. Bomb trucks filled with fertilizer. Or Project Rally, we had 500-pound. I don't know if it's 500-pound or 2,000-pound JDAMs, like fucking huge bombs that explode and just kill everything. Like the damage. I don't know if we have anything like that in Squad. Like IEDs go through a little bit of walls, but in Project Reality, it went through every wall in like a 100-meter radius or something, like maybe 50 meters, but very large radius. So you can't hide from the thing. If you went to go hide, too bad, you die. So terrifying equipment is always fun, having that kind of mega bomb, especially for asymmetric factions like insurgents. So if you shoot the driver out of a suicide bomb car, then it kind of like sits there and everyone's like nervous to go near it because at any point it could explode. That kind of asymmetry is really exciting and fun gameplay that we haven't fully gotten into yet. So yeah.
Alrighty.
Someone just asked about the Galactic Contention mod too, which we did
I
actually
love it.
play a while ago. We played a bit
we had
of that.
a bunch of we had a bunch of devs go on. We got to do that again. That was fun.
Yeah, it was
We had a bunch of
actually.
devs go on. It's funny because like I had played a little bit, not too much, and then a bunch of these, several of us had never played it, so it was like getting everyone's first. We should have like done a first impressions video or something. That would have been fun because we were like,
Devs
"Oh, this is
react.
cool! Oh, this is cool!" And and like there was at one point there's a sand crawler, and we're like, "Whoa, this is cool! It's so detailed and stuff." And then like somebody spawned into it or something, and it started driving. We're like, "What? You can drive that thing?" And this huge freaking, and we're like, everyone's just like, "Wow, how the fuck did they make that work?" Like this is weird, you know. And then the hover tanks, and the devs are super cool. Chat with them in Discord all the time, and they're really dedicated. It's just really exciting to see mods like that kind of. I think that's one of the mods that right now they're just killing it. They're putting out updates, and they definitely have really good high motivation, and they have a steady player base too. So if you guys haven't checked that out yet, I don't know if you should. It's like we should. You know, there's always difficult things about, big whatever you call that, big IPs and stuff like that. But it's called Galactic Contention, and it's wonderful. Laser shooting everywhere. The best part of the mod, I think, is the lasers give off light, like off every bolt of the laser gives off light, which means
worst part of the mod if you're a technical person.
it's
Yeah,
probably not done in the best way, but if you have a decent system,
it's very cool.
it is insane. Like it's just like no other game is foolish enough to do such a thing, but they're modders, so they're like, fuck it,
Every
we're
round
doing
a
it.
tracer.
Yeah. So yeah, if you haven't tried that yet, go for it.
Yeah, definitely check it out. And if someone from the community or the Galactic Contention Discord itself wants to organize something, we can turn up. We just can't really talk about it. That's the problem.
Yeah, for sure.
Otherwise, the big mouse comes and says, "What are you doing?" And we don't want that so much.
On fire.
But with this talk about mods, I'll kind of skip over some questions. We'll get back to them. We had Moy Dog in there just mentioning mods on the main server browser when. So we don't have any concrete dates or anything, but we did say to the modding community on their Discord before our break, there was a bit of a fallout, but the plan is that we will at some point be opening up the server browser so mods can be run within servers and they appear within the main browser. There's still a lot to be discussed there. Maybe some rules that need to be in place. A lot to go over, but the intention is to run a trial period where it's just freedom. Like, if you've got a mod, run it on your server, go nuts. It doesn't have to be whitelisted, the term that was used back then. And from that, we're hoping to learn a lot, and probably even just, like, open it up en masse, or take it back to the drawing board, rethink some things. But the thought definitely is there, and we definitely want to do it this year.
Yeah, so I don't know our exact date. I'm hoping as soon as possible. That being, there'd be at least a month or so in advance. So it's not, when I say as soon as possible, it's not going to be like, all right, it's tomorrow. You'll probably have a month or at least a notice like, hey, it's going to happen on this date. Yeah. Obviously, for anybody who's a modder in the chat, 2.0 has some very large changes that they have to become compatible with. One of the, again, in technical talk, I won't talk too long about it, but one of the technical aspects of why we couldn't do this sooner, why we can't do that in 1.0 right now, is because mods that share files, I believe I'm saying this, Daniel, correct me if I'm saying anything incorrectly, mods that, or Jed as well, mods that share files, if they like overwrite files, they can actually corrupt a player's game and force basically they can't play, and can potentially even corrupt stuff like CAF, which means you can't even play the main game. So this is basically we needed to put in warnings for the modders so they have to fix these directors. So if they have to make a copy of these things and put it in their mod if they've modified it, in order to not cause these file discrepancies. So that is now in, and we're hoping that that means that they will be able to release their mod without any worry of if their mod's screwed up. Basically, it means they can't cook their mod unless they actually fix these things, which is a good thing. Top of that, they have layer overhaul, which means if you have mods maybe less on the severe total conversion side, like Galactic Conquest or Galactic Contention, but more like just like a faction mod or a map mod, you'll be able to slot in a faction into normal maps much more easily. So you'll have less time having to duplicate layers and layers and layers, and more time where you can just make some minor modifications on your faction, and then you'll be able to put them on regular layers. That's the goal of or that's the major plus of having layer overhaul. So in other words, having modding in the main browser is a goal. 2.0 is going to allow us to get there. We're not quite there yet, and hopefully when it happens, it'll really bring modding into the spotlight, because we got some amazing modding teams. I know I've seen that Squad Vietnam. That looks freaking cool. I don't know if you guys have seen the trailer for it yet. I was like, holy crap, this looks amazing. So I'm hoping by spring, summer, we're going to get to be playing this stuff, and hopefully we get to promote it and it gets the full servers and attention that it deserves.
There's a particular prototype of jets that I'm looking forward to seeing combined with the Squad Vietnam mod. Should it ever make it into the game.
I think I know what you're talking about as well.
I'm not going to say a word more.
Oh no, we'll save that one for a later date.
That one will have to wait. Yeah.
Might involve napalm.
You guys would not believe how much stuff this guy has been pumping out since he joined the team. It's just prototype after prototype after prototype, and he if you say, "Oh, I'm not sure if that can make it into the game," he takes that as a challenge, and then he'll stay up all night and be working like crazy, and then show up the next day like, "Hey guys, I got it done."
It's done.
His eyes are falling out of his head.
Keeping on the kind of mod theme, we got a question from Drew PGH, and maybe Fabian might have some insight to this, because I think you were pushing for it as well. But will there be another update for the SDK before 2.0 officially drops?
They will have to, because we intend to release SDK before release, so a modder can have a compatible mod day one. And we have moved further on V2, particularly to release even intermediary SDK as earlier as possible to maximize compatibility and release date work. Right now, we, as far as I know, have French mod. We have Galactic Convention, which have started to work on V2. We have German mods. We have several modding teams which have started to work on V2 already, and we stick to improve support of modding. Like 2021 must be the modding year. Like my dream vision is like just being on the server, playing a Vietnam map, switching map. Oh, I'm in Al Basra or in Fallujah. Switching map. Oh, crap, I'm in 1980s Afghanistan. Oh, I switch again map.
Swap map.
I'm in the space.
Yeah.
All in the same playtime on the same server. That would be the dream.
That sounds very ambitious, and I'm not a smart person, so. Right,
We're close. We're very close.
I'll get back to the questions that we did have on hand. Almighty Clan asks, are we still getting hell cannons with V2?
Not V2, unfortunately.
Not V2.
I know there's an image of it shown. It might still be on the Trello. Health cannon's coming. We weren't able to get. We want to make sure it's properly epic, and we don't have the all the effects. Needs custom effects. You know what I mean? Like, for those who don't know, Hell Cannon. I don't know who made up that term, but it's just it's a bastard weapon of modern guerrilla warfare. Chucks. It's basically combining old school tech with new school tech. Basically, chucking
It's a propane tank.
tanks. Yeah, it throws propane tanks, and probably not like actually that effective, but definitely if you're in buildings and you're just getting propane tanks hucked at you.
You should have like a random chance of exploding when you fire it.
Yeah. So it's a very guerrilla warfare style thing that the insurgents will be taking advantage of as an emplacement. But we want to make sure the effects are proper and customized, not recycling effects from other things. So those aren't done yet, and we want to make sure it's properly balanced and everything else like that. So that's not in. Got a lot of other cool new insurgent boys to play with though in 2.0, like all the insurgent technicals, like 9. I think it's 9 variants of technicals. So yeah, that'll be fun new stuff. And then yeah, Hell Cannon will come at a later date. We might tie Hell Cannon into the insurgency mode overhaul, or we might put it out separately. Just depends on how it goes. But yeah, definitely it's coming. It's not in 2.0, unfortunately.
I don't know if this falls into your sort of range, Daniel. But 56 Overwatch says, will the range of motion for heli door guns be fixed?
Depends what he means by fixed.
Yeah. I'm going to
the range of motion
expanded.
right now. The range of motion right now is as wide as we can get it without causing horrifying clipping issues. Okay. So pick your poison.
Yep. Yeah, it is one of those things that it does probably from a first person's perspective, it probably feels limited. But when you look at it from a third person perspective, you can see that is the absolute limit from the 3D model's perspective.
Yep.
So there is always the possibility of like extending the first person view beyond the view of the 3D model's character. It's messy, you know. So I'm hoping though somewhat related to that, we know the door gunners on the helicopters have some performance issues or networking desync issues. We have a very long time coming branch or development stream with fixing some of the helicopter desyncing issues. It's currently, that's one of the things that we're hoping to bring some of you guys in. So everybody watching, listening here, if you can jump on the UAT, hopefully by this weekend, it will be announced, I'm sure, on the Discord and website and other places if we get that update out for UAT by this weekend. Hopefully that will be one of the things is addressing some of the helicopter desync issues as well as it's a turret upgrade, but that includes things like door gunners on helicopters.
Yeah, that also includes passengers.
Yes,
door gunner is a passenger, so any passenger should have a much smoother and more pleasant ride.
Oh, delightful! Just what I want.
Big Chung's asking about the BMP3 and the T90. Short answer is yes, but I'm not going to tell you when.
What was the question?
Well, he just wants to know about them, and I'm just going to say yes. Yes, they will one day achieve these weapons of mass destruction. Well, I mean, the T90 is just an incremental thing, I think, but the BMP3 is just a total freaking horror of of a vehicle.
Machine.
But yeah, but yes, there is plans on.
Let's see how the hell we figure out how are we going to balance that thing, man. Like really?
Yeah, I mean it's pretty cool. As you said, layer overall will help with that because there is also a BMP2 M that we are bringing as well. I don't know if we've talked about that, but I think that's on the Trello board there. So
It was
Russians will
asked
have a
about.
couple options. What's that?
Like somebody was crying about it like 10 or 20 times in the chat about the
I
big
know.
tutorial.
I had to address it because people keep talking about it. Yes, those are on the plan. It's not. And it's not as like I think the 3D assets for those are actually completed. It's just a matter of getting them in game, and also, as Daniel mentioned, the balancing, getting those weapon systems to be. One thing I won't go again too far on the trade, but it's like things like the javelin. It's easy to make, or not easy, but the art side of that is less time consuming than the actual implementation of the system, a proper system for it, and then balancing that against all the other systems. So bringing in like ever more increasingly sophisticated weaponry does bring up major design balance concerns. So those have to be weighed. Like for example, the attack helicopters, Stinger anti-airs, javelins, all these kind of things are very sophisticated, high-end things on the battlefield that normally, when you take the U.S. out of the equation, are balanced against like how many of these things we actually have, like in the real world, whereas in the game, we have to make sure that they're just carefully balanced. And now with layer overhaul, we actually have more options there, which is great because that means we have sub factions that can have access to these things in certain circumstances, but not in others. So, long story short, the BMP3 T90, they are in development. They're not going to be added for 2.0, and when they do get added, I'm sure when they do get slotted into a release, I'm sure we'll update it.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, one thing also to note relative to this new vehicle request is like with modding now, we'll have possibility for modders to just grab vanilla US, an example, and add the single vehicle they dream about for months.
Yeah.
And have it running. Like this is not anymore like doing a total conversion just for adding a vehicle and having to edit all maps. So that's gonna also kind of diminish the kind of stress on requiring us to add big vehicles instead of having them dispatched by modders.
Right on.
Definitely.
More mods. Yeah.
Free them.
I
Hell
mean,
yeah.
Cabo has asked destroyable buildings
Yeah, so
win.
I was gonna touch
Currently,
on that. We've discussed it before. There's been a lot of people asking, but we should maybe just iterate again what your answer was before. So sorry for cutting you off there, Fuzz.
Yeah, no, go ahead. Yep. Basic answer, no.
Yeah.
Oh,
Not for yeah, maybe for Squad, for sequel to Squad, as you have to build your game from the ground up to support destroyable buildings.
Mm-hmm.
I believe my answer before, and it still is if we go anywhere near that realm, it would first be things like breachable doors and stuff like that. Things that are we can control the amount of in a game in a level, and we can definitely like have it very visible that hey, this thing is destroyable, but still has a value to the gameplay. Making things destroyable in our it's just not going to happen, like whole wide buildings and stuff like that. But we know how great that would be. So yeah, it's something that if we are ever thinking of a sequel, that is where that is what would separate that sequel from current Squad, because that is something that like I can give Jet many tasks and he actually can complete them. This task, I think,
this is one that you just no. It's way you have a lot of things that need to be done, and a lot of things that will actually need to be removed from Squad in order for something like that to work currently with what you have. So it's just not really net positive right now. So.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm just getting questions for Squad 2, Fuzz. Thanks.
Oh no.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. It's good fun. we've got a question from Torbus, and since we're talking about V2 quite a lot, it fits in. What's the most exciting features in V2 that you guys are most excited for?
Good question.
The BMP techie, I think, is my That's gotta
True.
be my all-time favorite thing.
Jet's a vehicle
where you
guy.
just slide across the desert when you fire it.
I think I'm really excited for the RPD machine gun on Insurgents. I really love that thing. It's so cool looking.
Yeah. So Jet's the vehicle guy, and Cole's the old-fashioned Soviet guy.
Hell
He
yeah.
always loved that. Well, what about the Mosin though? That's pretty cool. I don't know. I
Mosin's
like
great.
Pretty dope, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mosin's fun, yeah, and it hits hard
If
too.
people haven't played it yet, we actually have proper. I think there is still an issue with the reload. If you are in the middle of reloading and then you like cancel the reload, it'll screw up. That's for other guns as well, but the single shot you notice more. But we now have a reload system that, like, if you fire 2 shots, you reload 2 shells. You fire 3 shots, you reload 3 shells. Like, you can, it's truly a single shell reload system, which is a great little addition for.
It's mostly
any people.
cosmetic, just before anybody gets really excited about modding in shotguns or anything.
Mhm.
But yeah, it looks the part at least.
Yeah. Yep. And the fact that I think our SKS has actually been modified as well with that.
Yep.
Yay.
So now instead of I know that was Cole's big thing again, the Soviet weapons guy. When you shoot the SKS, you would always reload these clips, and now you either reload a clip or you reload a single shell depending on how many bullets you fired out of it. So yeah, it's pretty cool. That I would say the Mosin. But I mean, let me let me list all the things that are like big ticket items and for V2, since maybe not everybody knows. There's a decent amount of things. Obviously, layer overhaul, we've talked about that already. Mostly like a technical grade. The exciting parts of that won't be felt until later on, I think. But you got the Goose Bay map, which is for all your Nana Civic fans. But yeah, the Nanny Civic is being retired. But it lives in the ashes is the Goose Bay, which is still trying to maintain the idea around Nanny Civic, which was wide open spaces. So vehicles really had a lot of importance, like very high importance. But the Goose Bay is now at least more manageable from an infantry's perspective, because there's actually like foliage and cover, and there's still lots of wide open spaces, but at least you have these copses of trees that you can get to as infantry and fight out of. So Goose Bay, super exciting map. Got the Mosin Nagant, the RPD, the RPG-28, the NLAW, the L85A2 Elcan's LDS scope replacing its ACOG. You got 9 new technical variants. You've got a shitty technical that I won't mention any more than that, but it's on a couple layers, and we call it the shitty technical for all you /r shitty technical fans. The recon, the British recon vehicle, the Scimitar FV-107,
I love
the
that thing.
LPPV. Yeah, the Scimitar is
Baby
like
warrior.
the Project Reality fan favorite, I would say, or hate it, depending on. It's still using the old-fashioned warrior turret, so some people hate that thing, some people love it, but it's super fast, super
It's mean. Yeah,
and it's like it's kind of like zipping around the map kind of thing. So that's pretty cool. You got the.
Do you remember its Top Gear, Tom?
Oh,
on that
no,
one?
I didn't see that.
The Top Gear on that thing is really
Oh,
insane.
shit.
Like if you lock it up, it'll go for a long time. So
I thought you were saying
Yeah.
they drove it on Top Gear, the show. I
Yeah,
got
that's what I
excited.
thought you were saying.
no.
I want to see that.
I know they did the Challenger. I didn't know they did Scimitar. Yeah, that'd be cool actually. The LPVV, we talked about that already. It's got the dual machine guns on the top, kind of for cool, very fast armored Jeep. The Warrior upgrade, we already talked about that. The FE520, the SA-330 Puma transport helicopter. So finally, there's another helicopter other than the UH-60 and the Mi-17. So
That would be my favorite. Like this one, like
yes,
trust
of
me,
course.
this is the real crazy song of a Puma flying over you. Like there's no doubt
Yeah.
about it. Like if you want to simulate that in a game, that's exactly it. Like, and it's lovely to fly too.
They did a really good job. The model is really excellent. No bias there from Fabian, who's fawning over the French helicopter. But and then we have and the last thing, OISC tournament winners. I believe they will get their skins now. So they've got I think it's like 6 or 7 different skins. So if you see people running around and they've got like something different, like, oh, what the hell, I never seen that weapon before. This is OISC. We got season 1 and season 2, run 2 seasons so far, and both of those teams will now in 2.0 have their winning skins. So that's pretty cool. And then that's all like the content stuff, and then we've got like helicopter flight improvements we already talked about. One thing we never talked about yet, which I'm hoping it's actually going to be working, but the main base protection system is getting an overhaul. I think that's done, right? I think I've seen it pass QA.
Yep.
Yeah.
Effectively, what it does is just makes it so you can't shoot your guns now in the main bases. I know it's a long time coming.
No more emptying that 50 can right once you load in.
Yeah, and no more. So I believe it does make exceptions for medic bag, ammo, and repair. You can't use while you're in your main base protection, including all the vehicles. We know it's hella annoying to have the gunners just going crazy during the staging or just picking around. So yeah, I was actually a junior programmer who just onboarding, and he was able to get that task done. So it's nice when we get additional staff to help, and we're able to get some of these long-standing things that are not so high critical, but like just quality of life stuff. The single shell reload system I talked about with the Mosin, which we talked about. The two or and then we got deployables refund mechanic. So if you accidentally place a deployable, you can dig it down right away and get back most of the points for it. Same thing with your infantry kit. When you switch out your infantry kit, you're going to get a portion of that, most of the refund back.
That's big.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah,
That's
huge. Yeah.
These are little things that like I mentioned, like, oh yeah, whatever. But it is like to the like day-to-day gameplay, those are pretty big things. One other thing obviously is the activation delay for the hab. That's my most exciting one, by the way. That's the one where if when a hab first gets built, it has a 10-second delay before you can spawn there. For anybody who's played Project Reality, this is like something that's been around forever. But it also importantly affects when you disable the hab. So if the enemies get within proximity distance, that disables that hab, and they move out of it, there's a delay before that hab becomes active again. So that's going to really affect the meta in terms of making these situations where you've cleared an area or you're moving in on a hab, one guy moves out of it for half a second, and the whole team is not going to be able to immediately just dump on that thing. It's changing the perspective of spawning, and we'll continuously seeing more updates on that in the future, where spawning is a little spawning has less of an impact on the like your ability to control the battle, like in terms of these make or break moments, like these second splitting moments, and it's more about area control and tactics and teamwork rather than this guy's outside the radius for half a second. Well, now it's completely useless. So this kind of change is a big change for the mechanics of the game, and we'll be interested to hear the feedback on it, as well as seeing the results from player behavior changing over time with that. Before I shut up, I'll talk about the last 5 things. So settings menu overhaul, everyone already knows about that, but we revamped the settings menu to make it a lot
We
more
actually
robust.
revamped it twice.
Yeah, it's got a second revamping in the new year, as we've got a lot of feedback from the players, as well as a lot of so it's extra revamped. It's like our 3.0 of settings overall at this point. But some good news there, which is probably news, is we are closer than ever to supporting shadows always on, like regardless of what setting you are at least some form of shadows, whether it's distance shadows or etc. We know that's one of the mandates that we really wanted to bring on Squad is we know people want to play on higher settings, but they feel like they can't because they're getting disadvantaged by their shadow settings. So we really are narrowing in on what we think is the possibility to get that performance dialed in. So even people with low-end machines will be able to run some form of basic shadows. So leveling the playing field there. But anyway, settings menu overhaul will be shipping with 2.0. We didn't get it in for 1.0. We are getting in for 2.0. Map loading screen images. Cool little extra there. There is a bug with that, unfortunately. So when you're transitioning between maps, you don't actually see the loading screen images. When you first join the server, you actually see the images, but when you're transitioning between the maps, because that's like a different form of loading those images, not working currently. I don't know if we'll be able to get that fixed by 2.0's release, but certainly it'll be after, if during the release after. And then a bunch of admin commands. Admin commands. If you're server admins, you'll be informed on those, but more admin commands to help you guys help the server admins out, because we know they do a really good job like maintaining our servers from becoming like wild places, and they need all the tools they can get. So and also streamer support options. So
Yes.
we've had some high profile streamers in the last couple months. So helping them out with like things like stream sniping. These are things that anybody can use. I'll actually personally use a bunch of these things because it basically masks. I like turning off chat and turning off all the crap on the HUD. I like as minimal HUD as possible, so you can do that. Plus, you can do things like change players' names, so it just removes players' names and stuff like that, like in order to basically avoid some issues that streamers have. But lots of requested stuff there, so we try to implement that as much as possible. And a bunch of bug fixes, but that's the main list there. So yeah, anyways, long chat on there, but that's what's in 2.0. So
A lot
Jet,
to
what
be excited
was
for. But,
yeah, for sure. What was Jet's favorite thing? Jet and
Of what? Of
of that list.
of that list?
I think you're the only one that didn't say. And
I said the technicals,
Oh,
but
you
I
said
also do think Goose Bay is also pretty
yeah,
nice.
Crispy.
It's
What about you,
pretty
Crispy? What are you most excited for?
I think the shell reloading, like when you were describing it to me at first, I was like, oh, I would just take that as granted. But then as you were describing it, I was like, oh no, this is a big change, especially for squad.
Yeah.
If you could just get one bullet,
Definitely.
that good one bullet in the moisten, maybe get it off.
Yes. It makes a big difference. Yeah, it does. Yeah. Cool.
I'll
Got
move on to a
Daniel's-
question. Oh, sorry.
Oh boy, Ramen 5 is Daniel's
Slay.
Daniel's
I got a
fan favorite
fan.
here. He's saying
You've got an intern, Daniel.
Yeah. No, now we're talking. Okay.
Well, there was someone
Ramen, I
else.
got a bunch of Jira tasks here that I was just waiting for.
Yeah.
Well, Cole was getting a little shout out earlier from Commander
I
Yo.
saw Cole say that.
Someone wants you to get a raise of $1 million, Cole. I'm not going to authorize it, but someone wants you to have it.
Maybe I'll get a camera for next time.
That may or may not have been a friend of mine, so.
He's a good friend.
Yeah, it's-
Hey, Crispy, we got some good feedback on. They wanted. Rainy is asking in YouTube. He's saying, "It'd be nice to see more progress updates in the news. Seems like we just see the announcements about the team changes and the roadmaps. Also, curious why the forums are broken still.
Forums
Maybe
should
give
be
a quick
coming up
update on that
about
stuff.
next week. So I've been running it.
Whoa!
Yeah, I've been
Good,
running
that's
it
news to
past
me.
the
Great.
moderators this week. just finding out the ins and outs of it in a sort of semi-live environment. The hope was to have it this week, before the event on Friday, but time.
But the basic gist of that was the old forums were really old, right? And we wanted to upgrade to a newer format that's not quite so ancient.
True, but there's also some security issues with the past one. So
Right. So we were forced to update because it was just not tenable anymore.
yes,
And we wanted to choose correctly. Choose what you can only choose one. Choose wisely.
yeah. Unfortunately, the content from the past forums won't be coming, but we've been able to keep the users. So you'll be.
Oh, okay, sweet.
You'll be. What will happen when it comes out live? You'll try to log in, and then it'll go, "Hey, we know you, but you have to change your password." And then once that's sorted out, you should have access. We have a bunch of badges that people should be getting, depending on how long they were with the forums, etc. So it's been a bit longer than it was meant to be. I believe my timeline was getting these out start of November, end of October sort of time. We're now in January, so yeah, it's a bit late, but they're coming.
Cool. Yeah, I'm excited for that. I think we'll try. So, regarding the other half of like the updates, Rainy, we, as I said, with 2.0, we're hoping we actually can just do more updates and not have to always be like, because this is a long time. October 1st was the last. Like we're fully aware, October 1st was V1.1's update, so sad for us as well. We want to get 2.0 rolling. We want to get 2.1 out like a week later or whatever, like as soon as we can. Just get the ball rolling again, so we don't have to always keep these long. So that's the plan. And as far as I'm aware, and I'm I should be informed of this, we're not doing any kind of engine upgrades for the rest of the year. So we're just staying with 423, staying with what we got. It's a pretty solid version, and we want to just get out a lot of content this year, a lot of like maps, a lot of features, and new factions and everything else. So we've done our kind of engine upgrade with that layer overhaul, and we're just going to be working with it. We're hoping to get those updates out faster. And I do have a good news for Mike Dude, who's asking, oh shit, is it at Mike Dude? Arm times, with the ammo rack repair times. I believe we've got the fix there for that. So ammo rack times will now be more reasonable. Our newest designer, Anton, was able to take that task on and complete it. So it's just a matter of retweaking the health of the ammo rack while tweaking the modifiers of the other components and making sure that they all more or less work. So I believe that's in test right now. So can't be 100% sure. It hasn't passed QA yet, but hopefully that will be resolved.
We've been getting a question from Gangster Game, and I'll get to it now, so he can stop posting it in there. But it might have some potential. Is there any potential for in-game overlays to be added for casting games in Squad while in admin cam? Now that isn't something that comes with those admin commands that you were talking about. It'd be something entirely different. But it sounds, just from my understanding, quite costly.
Yeah. So can you rephrase that question? So he's looking at like when you're in admin cam getting overlays for.
I think he means like Pro Mod or something.
Yeah, because Pro Mod's got those team images, etc. A lot of the functionality of Pro Mod we would actually love to incorporate into Squad. Might have to be rewritten to make sure that it's 100% optimized, but definitely things that is on the list. Hopefully this year, more streamer friendly options for casting, such as those. I personally like the GoPro cam style thing where you've got the perspective from the muzzle of the gun, like, or just mounted on the side of the gun or mounted on the side of the helmet. Those kind of perspectives I think is really interesting to watch when someone's casting, and other things like that, of course, like just making it more friendly, caster friendly. So yeah, we got a lot of that stuff on the written on the list, and hopefully we can start hitting some of those taskings and get some of that functionality in the game.
Awesome. One of the other questions that's been coming up quite a bit, and we'll get it out of the way. Will Sight 0 be fixed so weapons actually have to be held higher above the target instead of just making bullets exit guns at a high angle?
I think guns do get angled though, don't they? Like when you zero it, like your sights properly. At least for
Yeah.
iron sights, I know. But
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not sure what his. I guess they'd have to go in more detail on that bug, because not heard of that particular issue. Like oftentimes people actually don't realize their muzzle, the bullets are coming out of their muzzle, so they are shooting and they hit a rock that they don't like realize they would hit because the bullet is coming out of the muzzle.
Robbie
It is a
might be saying the
perspective
gun does
change.
angle, so
Yeah, it's currently a perspective change, so you're actually changing the iron sight zeroing, and that's changing your view through the gun, and it is coming out of the muzzle. At least as far as I'm aware, there's nothing that's just angling that exit velocity up.
well,
There might be
so
some nuance. There might be
there's
some nuanced bug there. But
yeah, there's some stuff to do with it. Like if your guy is holding your gun down, the bullet will actually come out like in front of you, regardless.
yeah,
But-
that's an anime. That's an
yeah,
animation thing.
it's
That's
an animation thing.
Don't get me started on that one, because I don't like the way we've implemented that, the resting thing, and I'd like to implement it, but
It's not replicated.
because like basically,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
that's true.
the replication there is what I hate, because you see somebody they have their gun lowered, and so when you come around the corner or whatever, you see a guy with his gun lowered, you think, okay, he's and then he instantly starts shooting, and the gun like instantly pops
up,
back
yeah.
up, so it feels very disjointed and frustrating, and obviously there's a bit of a latency as well there, so anyways, I don't love the way we've implemented that. There's some stuff with the locomotion changes that we could experiment with there as well, but yeah.
good to know. I've got two questions, but they're kind of more of the same thing. When will militia get an update? They don't stand out versus the insurgents. And Frost the Canuck saying, yeah, any plans on showing a regular militia some love, Vic and weapon-wise?
Yes, definitely the militia are going to have a full like overhaul or showcase of the faction. We are where they're kind of the bastard child at the moment in squad. I think both insurgents and militia are going to shine much more when we really get our time to do a full overhaul on asymmetric mode like insurgency. It's what always those factions were kind of designed for. They currently mostly live on invasion layers, which works, but it's not great. The militia always kind of feel like the budget version of Russia, and we don't want that to be the case. We want actually them to have to be more unique and definitely more specialized in their abilities. So I think we'll see more commander abilities for them in the future, as well as some more. Like think of MEA, how they've got some Russian vehicles, but they're kind of like Frankenstein together. I think we'll see more of that on the militia side in the future, as well as kind of bringing them into their own scenarios. Hopefully, these kind of attack and defense scenarios are a little more detailed and nuanced that fully support guerrilla warfare. Whereas right now, it's that style of play is not fully supported. So I think strongly it's more of a design part of the game mode than necessarily the faction itself. But both the content and the game modes need some attention there with the asymmetric factions.
Speaking of asymmetric factions, someone was asking about the RKG3 earlier.
Yes,
That's something I would love to see back as well.
Yeah.
we
Personally,
gotta bring that back. I know it's so that thing is an anti-tank grenade. It's a weird design because it's
World
I
War
don't even-
II.
I've got like a parachute on it. It's so
Yep.
bizarre. But yeah, it's a fan favorite from Project Reality. We had it there. Effectively, it's like, to me, it just reminds me of like the sticky bomb things that the Saving Private Ryan, etc., where you
Oh, yeah.
track tanks by running up to the tank. Like it's the same principle. You're throwing a grenade like that has I think it is like works kind of like on the heat principle, but you're throwing it like you're point blank range at an armored vehicle. So something has gone horribly wrong in order for you to use such a weapon. But
Cities,
yeah, I
cities.
agree. Yeah, of course. But I mean, like think of it in like a real scenario. Holy fuck! Like, why would you ever want
to be
have
fair,
to use a weapon like that?
Both sides have made a terrible mistake.
Yeah, yeah. But anyways, yeah, I would love to see
Fallujah
them
Invasion
return.
V1.
Yes,
exactly.
yes, yeah. So I think great little weapons, and this is very on the asymmetric side of things. Like, I believe they were taken out because they didn't replicate correctly, or actually, that was an original version, or that was an original issue. But then later on, they just failed to explode. And we haven't had a hack at it lately, like to get back to that weapon. It might have to be built from the ground up, like the blueprint on it.
I think it would be possible to use like the RPG, like rocket and stuff.
Yeah. It's obviously has very. I don't know. We'll have to do some more research if that actually has an arming range. I assume there's no arming range on a weapon like this. It's kind of it's pretty.
You pop it.
Yeah.
Explode yourself.
That would make an exclusivity for militia.
Yeah, definitely.
I thought it was originally for the Raider class on Insurgents, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
That's correct. Yep. They right now they have three frag grenades, and they've got the PPSH, but it also has I like that you have the two
Drum
different
mags.
mags. Yeah, you got a stick mag and a drum mag, so it's kind of cool. But yeah, RKG3 has not seen attention lately, but we will get to it, and we will be implementing it again. As I said, we might have to gut it, the previous code, and just get it working.
Alrighty. Thank you for those answers and the deep explanation. Just to get some questions out the way, because people are spamming them quite a bit. Just so you're aware, folks, spamming the question doesn't necessarily mean it'll be asked. We gotta make sure we answer them sufficiently. But the one we had Infecto 888 saying, what changes are coming to Raz? It's not random, and increasing numbers of people using squad lanes is making it mechanical. So I don't know if there were any plans for Raz, but perhaps there's some thoughts you want to share.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Yeah, so Raz, obviously, the longer a layer sits untouched by designers, the more chances are the player base is able to start memorizing the lanes, etc., and gain advantage through that. I think a lot of our Raz layers have not been touched for quite a while, so it is due for like a kind of a mix-up. I'd personally rather like to see a little less lanes and a little more randomization to really mix it up. I think the lanes were largely a response to players, rightful feedback, because there was no helicopters at the time we implemented lanes, and it took quite a while, and there was wildly dispersed. Like sometimes it would be like going from one side all the way to the east side, all the way to the west side on a 4K map, which is a little extreme. So I wouldn't want to return to those extremes, but a little more randomness and we have helicopters now. So on these 4K maps, there's a lot less fear of the teams not being able to move to the destinations in time. And I think that is something that we'll have time for after this 2.0 release to go over RAS, and bring these layers a little more randomization to them. And we have a design team to do it now, so we'll be able to really hopefully it'll just be like, every week we update 2 or 3 maps, and hopefully every other week or something like that we can put out a small update with that, just to bring you guys some freshness to these layers, because I know some people like AAS, some people like RAS, but the RAS, I agree, the randomization to it definitely needs to be freshened, so this memorization is not the standard.
There's another component of that again, thanks to layer overhaul, we're changing the paradigm of how we. Well, if you know about the voting system, at the start of the match, you can vote on
your faction.
What faction you want to play as, right? Each team gets to choose a faction. So it means a layer no longer defines just this faction versus this faction with these vehicles. It's now actually just this set of points, and it can be any faction within a set of parameters, so you don't get silly situations like insurgents on Civic or something. But that gives us a lot of flexibility too, and that's going to inform the way that RAS is developed going forward. So an example of that would be, you have your, say, RAS V1 layer that gives you choices of a half dozen or more individual faction setup combinations. So the factions that are playing are going to be different very frequently, and the points that they follow, that can be the whole focus of the layer. So it could end up being, instead of V1 being Team A versus Team B and V2 being Team C versus Team D, instead it's V1 is essentially like this half of the map is in play for RAS, and we just add a whole bunch of more random points. And V2 is this half of the map, and V3 is this part of the map, or lanes, if you will, but just more points in there. That's just an example, quickly, but that's the kind of direction that we can go with this stuff. It gives us more flexibility while ensuring that there's more variety. We don't have to worry about maintaining an absurd amount of gameplay layers anymore,
right?
Because that faction side of it is now
more flexibility,
procedural in a way, I guess.
Yeah, because prior to that, let's say we take Daniel's example, we have 3 different layers, 3 different flag setups, and let's say we wanted GB to fight Russians, and we also wanted USA to fight Russians. We also wanted USA to fight MEA. Like all these faction combinations, if we wanted them for each of these layers, suddenly we'd have to have like 10 different versions, and then for server admins to keep track of all that, they're like, I don't know, what is V7? I guess that's this flag combo with Russia versus EA. It's like too much to keep track of. So
too hard to
now it's
maintain as well, right?
Too hard to maintain and balance and all that stuff. So now a lot of that has been automated. And
if just one of those caps on one of those RAS layers has some wonky collision or some weird collision settings, like there's used to be a bug where you could chop off the rotor blades of helicopters on the cap point. like if that happens on just one point on one layer, how are you going to track that down if you have 250 and growing number of layers to maintain? So that's a big reason that we've gone with this path, because it's going to take that pressure off of QA. It's going to take that pressure off of us in terms of fixing bugs, and it's going to let us focus on actually adding that kind of variety that you guys want to see.
Yep.
I'm also looking forward for less V1 and V2 and more Operation Corner B for Royal Baguette or anything like that. So we can actually know what is about V1 or V2, but like, I'm gonna playing Royal Baguette this weekend. Like that's gonna be something really more sensible to remember what is actually the game.
True.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
totally.
More scenario based. I can predict more scenario based games like this is going to be probably introduced with asymmetric game modes like Insurgency, for example. So they we're not going to remove all your guys' favorite layers and oh no, where did this one go? But we are going to start introducing more and more layers, and they're going to be some that are more scenario based, like Fabian's suggesting. Yep.
Yeah, we can spawn damage vehicle now. We can do way more flexible stuff now.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'll just add a little reminder here. We're in the last 5 minutes or so of the stream. So I don't know if you gentlemen want to keep an eye on the chat, have them spitfire them at you, and you pick out which one you want.
Yeah, just start throwing them out there. We'll try and answer as many as we can. Not an MA, but okay.
50 cal helis, go.
Well, the Aussies actually have the 50 cal heli. Whether
Soon.
we keep that or not just depends on again the balance.
So there's
I
two
think
here I can take. Will partner applications
Yeah.
resume? Yes, I've been going through partner applications right now. There's been quite a few since we launched, and I've been whittling it down, looking through at the people who's applied and the content they're providing, etc. If you're successful in getting through the first round, you will receive an email. There's the answer to that question. My second question: can you guys talk about your CEO situation, or is it being ignored? Because you can't. We kind of can. We just don't know that much about it because we're not asking every day about how's the CEO hiring process going. We don't have a new one just yet, but we do have a board of heads who are looking after us all and looking out for that new person who will come in, be a great culture.
Yeah, I will
I think
say
Ramen wants to apply.
yeah.
Hired. There you go. Sorted. We've fixed it.
And I will say we're not too worried. Although Merlin was a very good leader, he wasn't CEO for the entire life of Squad. This is only a more recent development since 2018, I believe. So previously it was more of like a council, and now it's kind of more back to that, more or less. So I think we'll be fine. We're obviously going to eventually have a new CEO, but in the interim, trucking on like usual. I did mention the Aussies. And everyone's like, oh, where's the Aussies? Blah, blah, blah. I did actually answer this question somewhere in Reddit or something like that. I will mention again here. Aussies are coming. I think I praised it, I hope it's going to be this year. I think it's going to be this year. The main reason why we haven't added Aussies yet, we have to deal with our DLC, free DLC system where we can incorporate them and not have the pain in the ass that we have with CAF. CAF, we're not fully integrated, so we have a lot of build pipeline issues when we deal with CAF, a new release. So we're trying to avoid that same mistake with Aussies. So when we get that sorted, we'll be able to deal with Aussies. They still need some optimization and gameplay balancing tweaks and everything else like that. The other map that they are coming with is also still under development, but once those things are sorted, I believe that's Operation Anvil. Once those things are sorted, we will have a release date set for Aussies. So 99% sure it'll be this year. So that's something to look forward to. So many other things.
Yeah, there's a lot that I'm sure we'd like to cover.
There is
that we don't have
Humvee's
time for.
question.
Are we getting Humvees again? Someone's saying.
Don't speak of that.
I didn't say anything.
That vehicle, obviously there was in the game. We would love to see it again. That's all I'm gonna say.
Shitty jeeps.
Yes. Water physics. There is one for you.
Oh boy.
Someone's asking,
Yeah,
speak
so-
about water physics.
Water physics, yeah. I've been working on the amphibious feature for a long while now. So we've had a lot of discussion internally and design as well about where to go with water and whether to just constrain it or to make it something dynamic. So I guess I'll just speak in the current phase of where we're at. We're currently looking at a physics model, 4 waves, where we're actually getting a buoyant force and an XY flow force for are waves. So when you crash waves into the shore, you're actually going to get pushed towards the shore, as well as with rivers, lakes, and anything in between.
Yeah, I guess we didn't get to talk about amphibious stuff much, but yeah, it's a big component of what we're currently working on. Work started on that, I believe, October or November last year. So it's an ongoing progress, really good progress made. I hope next time we have a squad chat like this, Crispy, maybe we can show people some of our amphibious
A prototype
some
squad shot sort of thing?
yeah, so show
Yeah.
some goodies from amphibious because it's freaking cool. Like it's super
It
exciting.
is,
Got a
it
new
is super
map.
cool.
It's
I've been
probably
sitting on the
progressed
clip
beyond
for so
prototype
long.
stage now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's I'm hoping, but
being generous.
maybe we can do another one of these squad chats and then actually we'll see. Did everybody like the squad chat this time around? Was it better or worse than last time? Would you like more I don't know. Would you like more of this style, more like interview style? I don't know where we're at with it. We got Twitter or
Yes.
Twitter,
Should we expect more
Twitch
like this very
going.
soon? More. More.
More.
So this went all right.
Yeah, I would, Crispy. We got because I just drank all my cider and fuck, I gotta wake up in the morning now. It's like we gotta do this on Friday next time.
Well, that was
for
the
love of
plan.
God.
I do have my rally point now. I came in especially
Okay.
and sorted things out.
Just
I'm
put a
hoping
sign up that says like,
"Don't touch this.
"Don't disassemble."
Do not turn my
yeah.
PC into a server this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was unfortunate.
As you can
but-
see behind you, well, you can't really see because Daniel put the squad sign there. Our office is desolate. It's like a barren wasteland. I'm sure this is what every single game dev frickin' studio in the world looks like right now. It's basically completely empty.
The accountant's just
3 people
racking their
there.
hair, being like, "No one's
Yeah.
ever seen these buildings."
Yeah, it's sad, but it is the way it is right now. So, yeah, we've converted. Like when people are like, "Oh, does this guy need he doesn't need a computer. Just take it away from him." So yeah, right now we're we gotta I don't even know. I don't see my workstation's back there, so hopefully it's still plugged in. But might not be actually.
I think
Alrighty.
it's still good.
Well,
Yeah, hopefully.
we couldn't get through all the questions, but thank you guys for joining this squad chat this evening. I will be trying to do any of these after-hour ones on a Friday, so with Fuzz there, he's got through
Tom
all
can
his
get his
cider.
sleep.
Yeah.
But thank you for everyone joining us as well. We've got some things coming up. So on Friday, we've got the Stack Up Call to Arms event. We'll have some servers running throughout Friday. Hopefully you'll be able to join us and help play the game in an effort to assist active and veteran duty military personnel. There was something else. I'll be sorting out a blog post, so this will be archived, this stream, but we'll also be posting it to the website so people can rummage through it and take a look back at that prototype clip, take our quotes out of context and say, "You promised this, and you said it was coming in May." But thank you again for coming in, and thanks again, guys.
Hey, for that Stack Up event, do we get to play with those guys? Like,
Yeah, so we've got 3 servers, I believe.
Sweet.
So there will definitely be spaces for people to jump in.
looking forward to that. So if
Hell yeah.
anyone wants to play with the devs, that's this Friday, right?
This Friday. So the servers will be open from 11 a.m. our time to 5 p.m. But we'll be doing all sorts of things leading up to it. And keep an eye on social channels, because maybe we'll be giving away some game key codes.
Sweet.
Alrighty. Any final words from you, gents? Maybe you want to wave at the camera? Sure. Well, people were interested in Fabian's cat. I thought it was a dog at first.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's actually just a Canadian cat. Like, it's a Canadian sized cat. No, they used to defend themselves against beer, that's why.
Oh, that's cute. Well, happy 2021, everybody, and hopefully we get to see you guys a little more often. After 2.0 O is out. I'm hoping we can do more of these, maybe another AMA kind of thing. And yeah, let's look forward to a super productive year of Squad, bringing in all those goodies that we've really wanted to bring in. Excited.
Sorry, I got excited by Fabian's baguette there. Alrighty.
Don't
I
say
can't
that
see his
again,
cam.
Crispy.
God damn it.
I'll sign off now before you get to see my baguette. Till next time, folks.
Oh my god.
Good night,
Where's
guys.
the mustard?